All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the stream. Welcome if you are new. Today, we are once again attempting to summon a PlayStation Showcase. This is PlayStation Showcase Summon Attempt number 372. Is it going to happen? Is it going to happen, guys? We getting that showcase? Showcase June 5th. Uh-oh. Hold on now. I thought it was May. Boss is in here with us. Boss is here to help summon the showcase, guys. We got to make it happen. What are they waiting for? I have no idea. Dan says, MBG, it's going to be a state of play and we're going to riot. Are you in? I might be, yeah. Sony announces a state of play, I'm going to have a hard time not getting pissed off. Like, I just thought to myself, if Sony were to announce a state of play, literally the first thought that comes to mind is, oh my God, Sony, you suck. I'll be, like, honestly, like, that's the first thought that comes to my mind. Because it's just, there's no way, dude. Like, a state of play? Come on, Sony, are you fucking kidding me? A state of play? A state of play? Really? Come on, we need more than a state of play. We need it. Andrew Ehrenreich's trying to summon it. We got Mini Tom official coming in. He says, here we go. Guys, the secret to summoning a PlayStation Showcase is to hit 100 membership gifts. No, I'm just kidding. But Mini Tom, thank you, man. You dropped 5 membership gifts for the community. Mini Tom kicks it off today. Love to see it. We got Perfect Image saying, hey, bro, I see no one talking about Project 007. I don't even know what that is. What is Project 007? Guys, if we hit 25 members today, you know how it is. If we hit 25 members, we'll feed the beast. He's already licking the curtains over there. Excuse me. Imagine a state of... well, all right, so... I'm still holding out some hope that it might get announced today, honestly. I know I'm crazy, but today, because you know it's not going to get announced on the weekend. Like, if there's no announcement today at any point, it's not going to be announced on Saturday. It's not going to be announced on Sunday. Sony doesn't do that stuff on the weekends. So that means the earliest they could announce it next week is Monday, but Monday is a holiday. I mean, I don't necessarily know that would stop them from announcing it. It is Memorial Day. They could announce something on Memorial Day, but I don't know. It just seems less likely. State of not today. Yeah, I mean, it's Memorial Day in America, and you know, Sony is a Japanese company, so I don't know that would stop them. 24-hour stream? No, definitely not a 24-hour stream. Dude, boss. Ooh, I'm starting to think I'm like allergic to boss's dander or something. So every time he gets like close to me, I feel like I gotta sneeze. No, boss. Let go. Come on, you can't chew that. What kind of cat is that? The boss kind. The boss kind of cat. Oh. Cat that I might be allergic to. Holy shit. He's trying to tell us when the showcase is. Hold on. King Crimson 69, you're saying MBG Jeff Grubb said it's still possible, but not to get our hopes too high. When did he say that? Did he like just say that? I mean, Jeff Grubb has not really been wrong with this stuff. So this would be kind of a first when it comes to the PlayStation dates. 13 hours ago, Jeff Grubb doubling down. Okay, wait, I think I read this one yesterday. Yeah, we got new information about this Astro game. So this is so weird. This is so weird because we're we're hearing that we're going to be getting an update on Concord. We're hearing that we're going to be getting an update on this new Astrobot game. On his last stream, he said that. Chill, boss. Chill. Even boss is mad that we haven't heard anything yet. He is, yeah. He shares my frustration. You don't think it's happening in May? I mean, it's certainly possible that if they were planning it to be like, for it to be the end of May, they could have delayed it to June, like the first week of June. But that's cutting it really, really, really close to Summer Game Fest. But then again, Xbox is doing their showcase 2 days after Summer Game Fest, so and Xbox is going to be at Summer Game Fest as well. PlayStation is going to do a showcase on June 9th, right after Xbox finishes theirs. Where are the wall balls? They're actually back here. They kept getting knocked off the wall, unfortunately. Well, let me give you guys some new information on Astro real quick. We at least have that. Hold on. Bring it up here. So this comes from Billy Bilcoon. So details on the new Astro game. The title of the game will simply be called Astrobot. It will be revealed within the next 15 days. A part of the game will be set in a desert. There's a new robot character that resembles a fox. And I believe at the bottom of their article here, he also says that we still don't know the release date and to which platforms the game will be available. That said, we believe it will be released exclusively on PS5 and not PSVR 2. So that's just saying what they think, but I find that interesting. I'm thinking that too. It better not be a state of play, man. I'll tell you. I'm going to be so incredibly disappointed if it's a state of play because it's just not the same. The reason why I don't want it to be a state of play is because when a state of play is announced, it's basically Sony telling you lower your expectations. That's what it is. If it's a state of play, it means it's not going to be as good as a showcase. It's just not. You can expect minimal first-party presence. And when you consider like how little we know about PlayStation, man, and their future projects, that would be incredibly annoying. Even Zubitech thinks a state of play is happening. Yeah, I will definitely express my frustration if it's a state of play. I'll still watch it. I mean, what am I going to do at that point? I'll still watch it. I'll still hope for some good reveals, but nah, that's weak, bro. Microsoft's coming out with a full-blown showcase and a whole segment dedicated for COD, and it's like afterwards, and it's just like, really, you're going to do a state of play? No showcase? Dude, Sony not doing a showcase, that's so weak, bro. Especially after last year. Like, my question would be, how do you have a showcase as bad as last year's, and then a whole year goes by, and you still can't do a showcase? That's wild. Saying we're acting like babies, you just want an update, I don't give a fuck. No, dude. I do give a fuck. I do. At this point, I don't care if I sound entitled, because it's like, bro, Sony, I bought this PS5 with the promise of some exciting games from, and you delivered some games, but it's like, come on now. Like, you're really going to ask me to wait? I don't know, man. That's that Xbox energy, I'll be honest. That, like, to me, that's that Microsoft energy of like, just wait. And I'm like, no, fuck that. I'm not going to wait. I'm going to go where the games are. And come on, Sony. I know you got the games. Just show them. I'm not. The thing is, I'm not even asking Sony to like release, like quickly develop. I'm not asking them rush your games, rush the games out of the out of the oven before they're done cooking. No, I'm just saying, like, please fucking give us some announcements. Jesus. Light the Herman signal. Nate the Hate said it's a state of play. Wait, when did he say this? Did this just drop? Oh, no, dude. The walls are closing in. The walls are closing in. This is going to be a failed summon, bro. We're failing to summon properly. No, it can't be a state of play. Don't tell me that. I don't care if I come off as a baby at that point. He said it in Reset Era today. Oh, no. Well, all right. I'm not seeing it reported on the Gaming Leaks and Rumors subreddit. Did he say he thinks it's a state of play, or is he saying it like definitively, like it is a state of play? Because we have not gotten any clarification from anybody, whether it's a state of play or a showcase. Wanstar saying any chances they want to do the showcase after the two CEOs take office. Well, I'll tell you this. If Sony doesn't do a showcase this month or in June, and look, if they announce a state of play for the last week of May, we're not getting a showcase till September. And that's just the way it's going to be. We will not get a showcase until September. And that's technically still summer, it's like the end of summer, but shit, man. That feels like that's going to be a tough wait because, I mean, again, the biggest problem I think Sony has is they don't have shit lined up. It's fine. No, it's not fine. Damn it. I'm going to start a petition. I want state of plays canceled. No more state of plays. Just showcases. Concord at a state of play. That would be so weak, dude. Because here's my problem with the state of play. You ready? My problem with the state of play is you're not going to see Naughty Dog's next game. You're not going to see Sony Ben's new game. You're not going to see Ghost of Tsushima 2. You're not going to see Blue Point's next game. You're not going to see any of that. That goes out the window. And that, to me, is a problem because it's like, you're going to die of cringe if there's a movie trailer in there. There's definitely going to be a movie trailer in there, bro. Absolutely. And this is what bothers me. You're saying we saw Kojima's next IP? I mean, yeah. That's true. You know what? That's true. I can't deny that. That was a massive reveal. I won't lie. That was a massive reveal. Maybe Sony's getting ready to just change it up, man. And maybe they're going to come out and be like, it's a state of play, and it's a 40-minute state of play. It's a good one. And then at the end of it, they're like, here's Ghost of Tsushima 2. That would work, I think. Oh, that's it. That's an interesting feature. Marquise Ramy. You can reply. Oh, that's interesting. This is the first I'm seeing. They added comments, like actual replies to super chats now. Very interesting. I like that. Ragu Bagu says, I missed PS4 generation, E3's awesome new games, PSX. This gen has been weak, man. I know we've had good games, but still. No, I'm in agreement at this point, Ragu Bagu. I am. The generation is just not hitting the same way it did last gen. And I've said multiple times, and I will continue to reiterate, it's not hitting the same way because it's just lacking, dude. Like, it's lacking the excitement factor, it's lacking the hype factor, it's lacking the fanfare, and it feels like it's getting worse, dude. Slow burn. Slow burn. And then Mark Tech. Interesting. Mark Tech says, I would prefer a bigger state of play now and a long showcase in September that gets to show games running on the PS5 Pro. Makes more sense in my opinion. I see the logic there. It does make sense. I'll still be frustrated. Like, I guess I feel frustrated because I've seen Sony put 2 showcases on in the past, and I've seen them do it, And I've seen both of those showcases in a single year within a 3-month time frame be very good. And yeah, I don't know, man. As the light begins to fade, the summon, it's like when you're summoning somebody in Elden Ring or Dark Souls, and the longer it says summoning Phantom, and the longer it goes on, you start to realize, like, they ain't making it in. It's going to say summon failed, I'm beginning to maybe accept that a showcase is not going to be summoned yet. And I'm going to have to start really recalibrating my expectations here with the state of play. I will say this. If we were to get a state of play instead of a showcase, I do feel confident that Sony's going to make at least, they're going to have one big thing to drop, one big thing to reveal. At least I would feel like they have to, because it's like, I don't know, man. If Sony does a state of play, they're pushing it. They're pushing it as far out as they possibly can. Oh, God. Yeah, their big thing is going to be Concord. Do the rain dance. Dark Demon Media says, MBG, are you picking up the new Tomb Raider remastered physical copy for PS5? No, I'm not planning on it. I did see that they announced that, though. That's pretty cool. I'm glad that they announced the physical version of it. Kyle says, keep your expectations low, boy, and you'll never be disappointed. If it's a state of play, then so be it. We will eventually get the games either way. Yeah. Well, my question would be this. Listen, if we're going to get a state of play, yeah, that's true. That's worth pointing out. Amari in the chat says MBG actually let the last state of play was better than the last showcase. That is true, and that's a crazy fact. That might change everything. I didn't really think of that. Sony doing other. They're gonna bamboozle us, man. They're gonna condition us to expect showcases to be bad and state of plays to be good. Is that what's happening? But yeah, that's true, Kyle. Like, the games, we're gonna get them either way. This will be my question. If we do get a state of play instead of a showcase, that means we will get a showcase in September for sure. If anything, just because of the PS5 Pro reveal. My question would be, what is Sony going to have ready to release for us between now and September? Because I do think that's where things could be a little bit problematic, where the reason why it was kind of easy to just be patient up until this point was because each month Sony had something ready to release, sometimes 2 games to release in a month. And, if they do the state of play at the end of May, that'll mean, June, July, August, and then maybe even September with no releases. I think that could be problematic. Yeah, I mean, holy shit, that scared me. I did not realize how loud my speakers were. Maybe you guys heard that. Yeah, I mean, they could give us a release date for Concord, for Silent Hill 2 remake, which I keep forgetting that's still coming. The Astrobot game. Yeah, apparently the Lego Horizon. That's another thing that makes this interesting to me, is that if this is a state of play, we're apparently going to get a Lego Horizon game revealed. Resident Evil 9, yeah. I mean, at that point, though, like, you see what I'm saying? At that point, you know what? Hold on. I was going to say at that point, why not just call it a showcase? But maybe Sony, maybe what they're going to do, because the more I'm thinking about it, this actually does kind of make sense. It's kind of like what Mark Tech said here. Maybe what Sony's going to do is they're going to announce the stuff that, if they were to call it a showcase, it would be considered disappointing. Where it's like, if Sony holds a showcase, it's like, here's Until Dawn's release date, here's a new Astrobot, here's Concord and a release date, and here's Lego Horizon. That would not be good enough for a showcase. Like, if that's all they showed and put a showcase label on it, I would riot. I would absolutely riot. Because I'd be like, that's insane. That's not good at all. For a showcase presentation. But for a state of play, that would be a lot of first party shit. And so maybe the idea is, and yeah, throw Silent Hill in there as well. And maybe the idea is like just show this shit in a state of play and then save the big hitters for a showcase later. I mean, yeah, the logic is there, man. I can't deny the logic is there. Sim Particle says it's time to riot and loot. Well, I'll tell you this too. If Sony saves their showcase for September, holy shit. Let me tell you. Let me tell you what my expectations would be for that. Let me tell you. I will have the highest expectation from Sony I have ever had. And that's just the way it is, man. If Sony comes out next week and says, here's the state of play, and we're not revealing anything major at the state of play. Like the biggest reveal you're going to get is maybe Astrobot, which is cool. I think I'd be happy for an Astrobot reveal, certainly. But it's like no showcase, bro. I will, dude, at that point, Sony, you have possibly tripled my expectation for your next showcase. Just so you know. Tripled. Not doubled, tripled at this point. The realization is setting in. Oh man, boss. I hate to say it, I think I'm starting to develop like a cat allergy, specifically when the seasons change, like it's like warm out. Because I don't know, man. I gotta start taking some allergy meds before the day starts. Gotta hold the line, man. Yeah. Boss, you have a hair sticking out of your mouth, dude. Do you realize that? You had your own hair sticking out of your mouth. Boss is watching me lose my composure. Bionic Wolf says Resistance Trilogy Remastered, please. Dude, I don't think we're seeing Resistance. I'll be real with you, bro. I don't think we're seeing Resistance. I don't think that's coming back ever. I think that's a dead IP. Sorry to be like so doomer about it, but I'm just not seeing it. Oh, did you guys see this situation with Stellarblade? Oh, let me go on a fucking rant here for a moment. Here we go. Let me go on a rant here. Ugh. We'll take a little break from the summoning so I can rant about the Stellarblade situation. So you remember how about a month ago the internet lost its collective mind and had like multiple mental breakdowns and went berserk because they claimed that Sony censored Stellarblade? And there was like a petition made, and the reason why they said Sony censored it was because there's this outfit in the game, in Stellarblade. For anybody who's played the game, you probably know this outfit. It's called like the bunny suit. And there were two aspects of it that were changed in a patch at launch. Her cleavage was covered up with, I don't know, kind of like a see-through black lace thing going on. And they also, how do I put this without getting like demonetized by, around her hip area and her pelvis area, they tweaked the amount of skin that was showing, I guess is the best way to put it. And when the creator of the game was asked about this, he specifically said that like it wasn't censored, this was we chose to do that. That's how we wanted it to look. And he says, I know that answer won't satisfy everybody. And he wasn't wrong. People said, I don't care. I don't care that the director of this game straight up told me that this is what they wanted. We're still going to screech about it. We're still going to freak out about it. We're still going to lose our minds. We're going to make videos and just shove them in your face. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up, let me see if I can bring the image up here, is because Shift Up, the developer of Stellarblade, actually released new outfits today. And, man, if there was any possibility that Sony censored this game, it just went right out the window. Oh, hold on, actually, don't have the images saved here. Give me a second, I'll bring it up. Let me get the other one too. But basically, these outfits should shut everybody the fuck up. Truthfully, it should shut all these losers up because they just. Dude, boss he really is like, is it time? Is it time yet? Is it time for the snacks? For some reason, it's not letting me open the picture, so maybe I can just do a screen capture and show you. But it's important that I show you guys this so you can just see, like, all these people look like fools now. And I bet you some of them will still try to hold their ground, right? And be like, no, it was still censored, bro. It was still censored. Just goes to show, man, people just want to fucking be outraged. They do. They just want to be outraged. They want to be mad. And even when they're proven wrong, even when it's like, hey, man. Give me just a sec. Let me move myself so you can get a better look. Look at this shit. Look at this. These are the new outfits. And all of the complaints that people made about Stellarblade being censored were... So if you look here, no cleavage is being covered up. It's back to what people said they wanted. And then if you look at the pelvis area there, you'll see that it's right back to the way it was. And yeah, I hope people are ready to make their videos and have their outrage. Well, maybe not outrage, but just admit that, like, you were just wrong. Yeah, look respectfully. Look at it. Look at it. I want all of you to look at it. But really, though, like... So I guess Sony didn't censor the fucking game, people. I guess all that outrage and all that bullshit that people were screeching. Explain this. Please explain this to me. I need an explanation. I need an explanation. But you know what? Here's the reality, though. I'll tell you what the reality is. The reality is nobody fucking cares. It's water under the bridge now. This was worth getting our pitchforks and torches out for and fucking burning everything down and losing our collective fucking minds a month ago, but now it just doesn't matter. So, of course, you're not going to see people talk about it. Of course, they've already moved on. It's just like I fucking said, dude. I said last month that it's just the fucking flavor of the day, the rage of the day, right? And that's exactly what we're seeing here, because this straight up proves that there was no censorship. And it also reaffirms what the fucking developer themselves said at the launch, that we chose to do that. We chose to change one of the outfits. But nobody cared. Nobody didn't want to hear that. So, I also want to bring up another picture, although I don't know. Hold on, I don't know if the picture is actually. Give me a second. This is the picture I wanted to show you because it's fucking true. Look at this. This explains it perfectly. I'm mad. Here's a solution. I don't want a solution. I want to be mad. Perfectly fucking encapsulates like 99% of the fucking problems that we encounter today on the internet. How sad. PlayStation gamers out there giving you guys a bad name. So those outfits, by the way, are, I think, going to be in the latest update. I'm not exactly sure how to unlock them, though. I didn't look into that yet. Imagine if my wife walked in and saw the screen. No, I was talking to her about this because, I was talking to her about the situation when it went down last month, and I was talking to her about how, it's like you can't win with these people, man. Like, one day we rage because it's apparently censored, even though the developer said it wasn't. And then when there's proof that comes out that literally proves that you were wrong, everything you said was wrong, and you look foolish, everybody just kind of ignores it and just pretends like it never happened. And that to me is see, I don't look at it like that at all, Leo. You're saying the Stellar Pervs won. I don't look at it like that. Because I've maintained, like, I told people, I was like, listen, yeah, I see the alterations that were made to the bunny suit. I was like, did you guys see the other outfits in this game? Like, something tells me this has nothing to do with censorship or trying to cover something up. Because, like, there are other outfits where it's like, yeah, this is pretty revealing. This is pretty damn promiscuous. I'm not really sure where people are coming from. But I don't know, man. People just, this is it, man. They want to be mad. She's basically wearing floss. I wouldn't go that far. Yeah, that would be like next level. Artistic decisions. I mean, I also said too, though, that like when the people who were acting so outraged, they were saying it's censorship. It's like we're not outraged because they took the sexy away. We're outraged because of the censorship. And I'm like, well, but they said it wasn't censored. Like, the developer said it wasn't censored. So I don't know. At that point, you're just outraged because they took some of the sexy away. So here you go. Here's more of the sexy, I guess. And in that case, Leo, maybe they did win. Maybe they did win. I just think listen, if there's something that I think it proves is that people need to just chill the fuck out. To be honest, like I think more than anything, seeing this Stellarblade situation, come full circle, I think it just reveals that people really need to chill the fuck out and just kind of, take things as they come and not necessarily always assume the worst and immediately and be so quick to get the pitchforks and torches. I say that, but I'm going to lose my fucking mind when Sony announces a state of play. So who am I to say? Who am I to say? Juan, I don't know. I'm sorry if I destroyed your name, buddy. J Van. Maybe that's how I'm supposed to say it. I'm saying Jvan. It's just J Van, probably. He says, "Where's the showcase? I want Silent Hill 2 remake." I know. We're trying. Sony, hear our pleas. May the PlayStation gods smile upon us. Y'all need to touch grass with VR, bro. Josh comes in with a super chat. He says it's rich that Ryan called Neil arrogant for what he said about Naughty Dog's upcoming game when he was slobbering all over the initiatives. Quadruple A studio, hilarious. Wait, who though? Josh, who are you talking about? Ryan McCaffrey. Okay. Yeah, I'm not surprised, dude. The initiative, the situation with the initiative was bizarre. It still is bizarre. I mean, I'm interested to see their game, like how it turns out, I guess, but I don't know, man. There's just double standards and hypocrisy everywhere where it's like one day you're praising this thing over here and it's got a certain name attached to it or whatever, and that's why you're praising it. And then the next day, yeah, I don't know, man. It's pretty ridiculous. I'm nervous about Naughty Dog, though. I am. I gotta be real with you guys. I'm getting nervous about Naughty Dog because I feel like the pressure's mounting. It's building. I don't want to be disappointed by what they. I mean, it's their. Whatever it is, it's their game. I talked about this with you guys yesterday. It's their thing. It's not mine. I'm not creating the art, but I really hope that when they show their next game, it resonates with me and I can get excited for it. I can feel excited for it. I'm gonna be pretty disappointed if it lets me down. You know, that's all. Whoa. Hello, boss. Josh with another super chat says IGN's acquisition of basically all games media concerns me. They seem to be very fraudulent and love to go out of their way to control the narrative. Yeah, IGN fucking sucks, dude. They fucking suck. Like, completely. Boss, bro. I know. I want to summon the showcase too. That is concerning, though, because why did they do that? I can only think of one reason why they did that. And I think it's exactly what you're saying. It's to try to control the narrative. I can't think of any other reason. Yeah, IGN's like the Microsoft of gaming outlets. I mean, don't get me wrong. I can appreciate when IGN does actually some good work every now and again. Boss, you need to chill, bro. You know, if they have like some decent scoops on occasion, but they just seem to be. IGN seems to be leaning into what mostly everybody else is these days, which sucks to see. And that is just, you know, what's like the most divisive thing we can do and how do we. It feels like it's mostly rage bait. It does. And I feel like that's what mostly everybody is doing today. And it's annoying. It's annoying. It's effective and it works. And that's why we keep seeing it. But it's unfortunate. All right. Come on, guys. We got to get those memberships flowing for boss's sake. He's dying here. I'm breaking my rule and I'm giving him a little bit early. I'm giving him some snacks a little bit early here. You now have 10 Twitter accounts? That's a lot. The showcase summon isn't working. It's not working, damn it. I'm not seeing anything. Why has Sony forsaken us like this? Well, I did say this yesterday. Yeah, we're gonna accidentally summon a state of play, bro. Yeah, I'm gonna just make my stream titles the same title every stream is gonna be the same title. It's gonna be PlayStation Showcase attempt number, so on and so forth until it happens. No, I'm just kidding. But I did say this yesterday, and I will reiterate it here. And this should be overall a shorter stream today. It's just kind of a bonus stream. But I said yesterday that if there is no showcase announcement today, then I am letting it go. And I'm not saying that nothing will be announced. I still do think we are getting something, but I will be convinced it's going to be a state of play, which also means I need to greatly lower my expectations. And, I'll have to hope that Sony brings some excitement with that state of play, but I'll also just have to accept that, well, the big thing that I thought was going to happen is not happening yet. It's happening later this year. So today's the last day for that. MBG, the last showcase was announced Saturday. Whoa, hold on. Hold the fucking phone, MRPD. There's no way. There's no way this could be true. I must go check. Wrong, MRPD. I'm checking now. I went back to May 2023. May 17th was when the showcase was announced. That was on a Wednesday. I was about to say, hold on now. You almost had me. Maybe you're misremembering, though. Yeah, you almost had me there. It's okay. If I'm not mistaken, I don't think any show ever has been announced by Sony on the weekend. I don't recall that ever being a thing. 2020? 2020, look, to be honest, I feel like I can't use the year 2020 as a determining factor for anything, because I feel like everything was different that day. Or not that day, the day of 2020, that year. I feel like everything was different. Bro, did you not get enough? Boss, did you not get enough? Yo, wait, where are you going? This cat, man. Bro, why are you making me flex like this? Boss, what are you doing? He's taking over. Boss, you're getting hair all over my face, bro. Fine. You want to be that way? I'm going to brush you. This is how we summon the showcase, guys. 1,000 brushes. He's like, no, let me go. There's no, dude. You really just did that? Oh, it's so bad though. I really do need to brush him more. His hair's getting everywhere. Come on, bro. Get it. Boss, I have to brush you like 993 more times so we can summon the showcase. He has allowed it. He says yes. Sheesh. Boss is like, let's do it. In the name of the showcase. J Van, you're saying Jeff Grubb said, "Is May over, you sacks of shit?" Dude, I was so close. I was so close to titling the stream that, "Is May over yet, you sacks of shit?" I was so close to titling it that, but I'm like, I don't want anybody to get the wrong impression. And we got Titus coming in. Titus is dropping more membership gifts for you guys. Titus drops a 5 bomb on you. Doling out 5 more membership gifts. Titus, thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Love to see it, man. That brings us up to 10 members on the day. Appreciate the membership gifts. Thank you, guys. Jeff Grubb will go into hiding if nothing happens. No, I think something's clearly going to happen, but I will say if it's a state of play, if we get a state of play and not a showcase going forward, any rumor we ever get from anybody, including Jeff Grubb, any rumor we get of a PlayStation show, I will always assume it's going to be a state of play. I will always assume it's a state of play. Because, hey, no. That's so funny, though. Is May over yet, you sacks of shit? Is it? Maybe in about 10 minutes. In about 10 minutes, will it happen? I'm just going to stream 24 hours. Not 24 hours, but like a 9-hour stream. 7-hour stream. I'm just kidding. We're not doing that. Boss, you're starting to annoy me, bro. No gaming survivor. MBG Alana Pierce was commenting on how AAA games are becoming way more expensive to make and that live services are less of a risk to make. Do you think we'll see less single player or less single player AAA games? I think we're going to see less single player AAA games just for the simple fact that they are more expensive and taking longer to make. But no, like I don't think it's going to be like if we're expecting, let's say, 5 AAA single player titles, I mean like the big heavy hitter titles for the rest of this generation from Sony, I don't think it's like, no, instead you're going to get 2 or something like that, or 3. I don't think so. I just think generally speaking, the output is not going to be as quick or as rapid anymore. So I think just because of that, it's going to take longer. But I don't know. Yeah, I don't know that I agree that live service games are less risky. If anything, I think they're more risky. Because at least with a single player game, if you make a competent single player game, even if it's, a big budget game, as long as you, deliver a quality product, it will likely sell. At least I think. I mean, maybe not all the time. There are like rare instances where it's like there is a big budget, high quality AAA title and it just doesn't really move the needle for the studio. And that can be dangerous. But I just think the risk is kind of the same across the board. Whether you're making a single player game, whether you're making a live service game, you're at the mercy of, are people going to show up or not? Are people going to show up or not? And if they don't show up, you're screwed. Figuratively literal here with a super chat saying, if you want some hopium, Mystic did say they have announced showcases on Saturday, although even if it's a state of play, at least we'll have Astro. Did he say that? Maybe that's where MRPD was getting that from. Did Mystic say, it is Friday, so did he say that in his video? Let me see. Does he talk about the showcase? I think he might talk about it in the front here. Let me see.
That Sony does, where they discount games, hardware, accessories, usually PS Plus as well. This is not official just yet, but this comes from Bill Kuhn writing for Deal Labs. They typically always find out this stuff if it's like right before it's going to get announced on the PS blog and things like that, usually a press release or something. So in the days of play promotion is usually around spring anyway, so this is probably happening very soon. They're claiming it's going to begin on Wednesday, May 29th. So it's something where we're expecting the 25% off discount for annual PS Plus memberships, a reduced price for PS5 consoles. They're listing this in euros, so that would be €4.99 for a disc console, $3.99 for digital. DualSense controllers are €50, which is always a great time to get extra controllers if you want the spare colors or something.
Did we forget the state of play in January?
Hardware should also be about €100 off as well. So if you've ever been curious about PSVR 2, now is probably a great time to grab that as well. Now, in a related news story, and this kind of goes into the absence of a showcase or a state of play announcement, but it's another report from Bill Kuhn, writing for Deal Labs, about how we're going to get info very soon for Firewalk's Concord, the PvP sci-fi PlayStation Studios game that is still coming out this year, and we expect that whenever we get some kind of live stream, we're probably going to see more of this game, since Sony just recently confirmed that the title is still on track for this year. So this report from Bill Kuhn says that a second announcement about Concord is planned very soon. They estimate it's going to get announced within 15 days, and the announcement should include the introduction of playable characters and a glimpse of gameplay as well. A glimpse of gameplay sounds interesting. I don't know if that's a translation thing, but you would suspect this game gets maybe a more thorough reveal.
That's what I was thinking.
It really depends on what the company is planning on doing. Because obviously we thought this was probably going to be the week where if they're going to do a showcase, they'll probably confirm it this week for next week. State of plays usually have a smaller window, I guess we should say, right? So it'll be announced within that week and then debut that week. So there's a lot that can be said about that, but in the here and now, what we can say is that maybe they want to debut Concord actually at, say, Summer Games Fest, or it's something where it gets a teaser trailer on the PS blog during the showcase state of play presentation that we're still expecting, and then they show more gameplay at Summer Games Fest, which would not be unheard of. They did this with Spider-Man, where we got a very thorough gameplay trailer at the last showcase, but no release date, and we thought that was weird, but then only a few weeks later, we got that release date at the Summer Games Fest. So they could split it up that way. As far as not getting a showcase confirmed just yet, I'll say this. It could very well be today that they announce it. I always have to film these, Thursday nights going into Friday morning, basically, so I can't tell you if that's happening right now or not. But as far as showcases go, the company... there's really no sort of pattern here, right? They get announced on like Wednesdays, Thursdays. I believe they have done Fridays and Saturdays for showcases that are not state of plays, basically. So we're not outside of that window yet where the thing is going to get confirmed. Hello, Melissa.
Oh, Mystic's cat's showing up on screen too. I know you guys can't see the screen.
Lamar. Okay. Anyway, we're not outside that window just yet.
Interesting.
Monday is going to be a holiday in the U.S., so if we don't get one over the weekend, then either it's a state of play, or it'll be like the first weekend of June, or the first week of June, I should say. But it's all speculative. We'll wait and see, and whenever something does happen, we'll of course talk about it as quickly as we can.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. I'm glad you guys referred me to what Mystic said here, because I absolutely take his word for it. He says that Sony has made announcements like that on Saturdays, which I wasn't aware of. And he's the real like PlayStation expert here. I don't think anybody would question that. So, I guess I'll just kind of, I'll just readjust and recalibrate my expectations maybe with Mystics, where if the announcement doesn't happen over the weekend and we go into Monday, at that point, it's like if anything does happen, it will be a state of play at that point. So, yeah, Capono, that person in the chat, yeah, MRPD wasn't trolling. I just think that I thought he was referring to last year's showcase. Last year's showcase was on a Wednesday, but he was really referring to Mystic, saying that in the past Sony has announced stuff on the weekends. So we'll see. Hope is not lost. We must keep hope alive. Figuratively Literal says, if you want... Oh, sorry, I read that one already. Thank you for that, Figuratively Literal. We have Ragu Bagu saying, it is possible there was a change in plans and there will be a showcase in June. Sorry, I just took another hit of hopium. Well, yeah, I mean, we have seen... I don't know, man. We've seen Sony delay. I remember there was that one time there was supposed to be like a God of War announcement of some kind, and the announcement date leaked by, I think, like the Snitch or somebody, and then Sony seemingly moved it back by a day, like purposely, to at least it seemed very clear that they did that. And there was also, again, in 2020, they delayed the showcase. That was a more of a public delay, though. But yeah, delays can absolutely happen even with stuff like this. So the thing is, it's pre-recorded, so they can do whatever they want. That's another thing about it, is if it is a showcase, it is pre-recorded. They could just say, like, you know what, we were thinking the end of May. Now we're going to do the first week of June. They could delay it by weeks if they wanted to, really. But maybe not. I mean, they do have partners in there. So I guess, to be fair, they probably have a limited window in which they could delay it. Like, I said that they could delay it by weeks, but the more I think about it, realistically, they could probably delay it by about a week at most. So yeah, I'm going to be interested to see that. Antonio Lopes, Hideaki Nishino, and Herman Holstar going to be talking for the first time on May 30th. 40-minute long presentation. Definitely. Yeah, definitely want to hear what they have to say. We also have Pushing Polygon saying John Carmack just quote tweeted about a thread describing AAA gaming troubles. Looks like he's quoting a guy who was an exec at Square Enix. Interesting. John Carmack, huh? You'll see. A thread of recent Square Enix news regarding Final Fantasy sales numbers and expectations. It's a very long thread. I don't think I can read all that. Holy shit. But John Carmack says, a long thread of some unpleasant realities about AAA game development. The level of competition in the games industry is great for consumers, but tough for developers. Interesting. If it costs $100 million to make and takes 5 years, then you have to beat, as an example, what the business could have returned investing $100 million into the stock market over that period. For the 5 years prior to February 2024, the stock market averaged a rate return of 14.5%. Yeah, I don't... I think the problem with the approach to AAA gaming today is maybe there's some overthinking, some overdeveloping maybe going on. I say this because, like, I just got done playing Hellblade 2, and it's so funny to me that, like, Hellblade 2 might be it might be the best looking game I've ever played. It could be. I'd have to see it compared to other games I played, but it's easily one of the best games I've ever played in terms of how good it looks. It's insane graphically. But that game to me absolutely proves that graphics are not everything. And other games have proven this in the past too, where it's like it's weird how like it's you know what, let me take that back. It's not weird. It's always humbling. A humbling reminder when you play a game that doesn't actually have the most cutting edge graphics, maybe doesn't have the most cutting edge animation, does have some very visible visual flaws, and doesn't have the, you know, the most AAA cutting edge graphics, but the gameplay is amazing. And that suddenly makes everything okay. It's great, you know? Like you don't even care how the game looks at that point. But if a game is struggling with gameplay or lacking gameplay, but has the most beautiful graphics you've ever seen, it kind of doesn't matter. Like it's something. It's like, yeah, that game looks amazing, but it's like, as a game though, you know what I mean? And this is where I just think in AAA gaming, we just need to, I think, maybe get back to some basics here. I know it's easier said than done, but I do think that we need to get back to basics and just remember that, like, you know, there's nothing wrong with wanting to have better graphics. We all get excited at great looking games and pushing the bar and, you know, being wowed by it. But that should, in my opinion, not come at the expense, certainly not of gameplay, but also it shouldn't come with an unnecessary risk. You know what I mean? Like if pushing the graphical fidelity in a game is the difference between like, we're going to go over budget, like we're going to go way over budget, and this is becoming really risky versus just playing it somewhat safe, I'd rather not. I don't think there's any reason to push in that direction, you know? But, you know, it's all about creative decisions as well. It really comes down to what they, you know, what the creatives want to do. But J-Van, you're saying here, good stream, bro, gotta go. See y'all at the showcase. J-Van secretly knows. He secretly knows. He's letting us know. The showcase is coming. Please let that be what he's talking about. Please let that be the truth. He's an insider. He works for Sony. He's got to go because he's got to go set up the announcement. Anyway, we got Kazuya88 saying, MBG, in the past, I saw Xbox fanboys claiming Xbox One failed because of media bias. This gen, I see lots of media bias against Sony. Somehow PS5 still sells like hotcakes. Funny. Showcase now. Yeah, I remember that, dude. Too many people clinging on to like false narratives that help, I guess, help them, I don't know, process what's like the reality of what's happening with the Xbox brand. What I will say, because it's funny, because I remember the early days of the Xbox One, I was a big Xbox fan, and I saw like the narratives, you know, and the thing is, I knew a lot of them were true, but I took the approach of, okay, you're right, but I think it can get better. And, you know, my flaw was not really fully understanding that, like, dude, this isn't going to get better. Like, at least for a long time, like a long time. It might never get better. But I remember during that time, it felt impossible to push back against any of those narratives because they were mostly true. And what people were calling bias, I was just like, I don't think it's bias, man. Like, I'm sitting here as a fan, like, disappointed, you know? And I would argue that this is the problem, man. People, and it goes for PlayStation as well, where, you know, you mentioned here that PlayStation is somehow still doing very well. Yeah, there is a lot of animosity this generation towards PlayStation, like more than I've seen, I think, ever. And I'm not like, I partially know where it comes from, but with how intense it gets sometimes, I don't know where it all comes from. Because some stuff I'm looking at and I'm just like, yeah, that's just weird. Like, again, like the Stellarblade situation is a perfect example of just like, I I'm just convinced that there are just people out there where it's like they want to just hate Sony. You know, like they want to just believe that Sony is the worst video game company in this industry. And it's like they have their problems, certainly. All corporations do, but like this is getting kind of nuts, but it didn't stop people. So I just think more often than not, it's a matter of just letting these things speak for themselves. People still bought Stellarblade. Stellarblade is still a massive success, regardless of what people were saying about the censorship that clearly wasn't real and didn't exist. Where like Sony was not Sony did not censor that game. Regardless of how aggressive that narrative was pushed against the game as well as Sony, it didn't stop the game from being a success because the game spoke for itself. And, most people, like I would say the overwhelming majority of people, they saw what looked like a good game. Maybe they came across this news about the supposed censorship, but most people also determined that like they don't fucking care because it's something so minor and minuscule that it's like, why would I stop myself from enjoying what looks to be a banger game? And here we are. We find out that it was a whole bunch of bullshit anyway. So I just think that sometimes it's important to just look at things for what they are and let them speak for themselves. Don't let any of the narratives that are being created by anyone or anything else around you change that, because there just are some objective, like here's an objective truth about the Xbox One generation. Microsoft fucked up badly. Like regardless of any, even if there was some bias against Xbox that came after that, putting that aside, you cannot escape that objective fact. And that's why I didn't really defend Xbox, because there wasn't much to defend at all, because it's like, yeah, they fucked up. Like they got to fix shit and get back on track. And I think the same kind of goes with the good stuff too, right? Like some of the good stuff we see where for some reason people, I think, are too quick to try to tear something down for honestly what seem like practically made up reasons these days. And it's just like when you remove yourself from that and you just look at something objectively, it's a lot easier to, again, just see it for what it actually is and not through this little distorted lens that is trying to be shoved in front of your eyes. But I agree with you. Showcase now. Let's go. Bossman Davey says, blame Triple Anus. I don't know. I mean, I think Sony is fine because in the AAA space, because I think they're in a unique position. I think Sony's in a unique position where they have a reputation. And I think that reputation is what allows them to honestly take more risks in that, the reputation is earned, to be clear. Like, Sony had to learn how to make these types of games, and they had to learn how to cultivate the talent and retain the talent. And the talent themselves have learned how this works. So I think Sony's in this kind of unique position where they're relatively safe continuing to make these big AAA games. But I think the reality of it as well is that Sony might be part of the few. You know what I mean? Like, I think we're going to see fewer and fewer, like, competent AAA studios where it's, I think we're kind of seeing the removal of kind of the, maybe the best way to put it is the mid AAA game, right? Where there just doesn't seem to be any room for the type of AAA game where it's like, it's not amazing and it's not doing all the things, but it's doing some things. And other areas it's kind of struggling. I think those games are going to struggle. I think we're seeing that. We're seeing those games fail in the AAA space because, well, I mean, there's a lot of factors. I wouldn't say it's just because of the rising costs of game dev. I would say it's also the fact that there is a limited talent pool. ultimately. You know, there's a limited talent pool, and you look at the global economy, you look at the economy here, it's just there's a lot of factors working against it where to me it seems clear that the only type of AAA game that can succeed is the one that is firing on all cylinders. And you know, that's just the way, like we just saw that one game, what was it? It was the latest Perfect, or not Perfect Dark, the Alone in the Dark. They had like David Harbour, you know, and a famous female actress, and this game completely flopped. Like it aggressively flopped, and I think they had to lay off the studio because of it. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. Where the problem with that game was it was a AAA game, but it just wasn't up to the standard of what is expected from a AAA game today. And that to me is what I just explained could be why these developers are having a struggle going back to the basics, but it's a complicated situation. I don't think that there's a simple solution to it. I think at this point in time, anybody who's paying attention to the AAA space can understand that it's a complicated situation that likely requires a relatively complex solution. Not, you know, if there was just one simple fix all, it would have been applied already. But yeah, it's unfortunate that game flopped. But Josh Z comes in here with the $10 chat saying, personally, I think the Square stuff is overblown. Don't forget they just promoted the director of FF16 and Rebirth to executive roles. How bad could they have actually done sales-wise? Yeah, it's hard to determine, Josh, because we know that Square is infamous for having expectations that seem unrealistically high. And that seems to have not ever changed. It just might be that now those unrealistic expectations have transformed into what are now considered realistic expectations. But I get what you're saying. It's a damn shame to hear Square confirm that games like FF16 and Rebirth didn't sell well enough. Especially, like, I feel like with Rebirth, I can kind of understand it more because they're like, it's 100 hours, you know, to do everything. It's, you know, it's a sequel, so you need to play the first one. With Final Fantasy 16 to me is the one that really hurts because that game deserves to be more successful, I think, because it's an incredible game. And you know, whether or not it was truly held back because it was a PS5 exclusive, we're going to find out. You know, it's getting ready to release on PC, so we'll see if that changes anything. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know enough about the financial side of the games industry, truthfully, to be able to truly tell you like whether or not, you know, a game like FF16 getting 3 or 4 or like even 5 million sales, that not being enough. I don't know. It's getting. I will say though, it feels like it's getting exhausting. Though I will say that, Josh, I feel like the constant conversation around the, you know, what's going on in the gaming industry, the shrinking of the gaming industry, like the studio closures, the games flopping and not selling it. You know, it's, to me, it just seems clear that like times are changing, man. Like times have changed. I think it's impossible. I really do. I think it's impossible to not acknowledge like what's happening in with the economy, or like the global economy. But I live in the USA. Like, dude, shit's wild. Like, it's absolutely wild. I saw this chart earlier that somebody put where it's like, based on your yearly salary, here's where you fall. And there was like poor, middle poor, upper poor, and then there was like surviving. And surviving was like between 150K and 200K a year, or even up to like 300K. And then anything above 300K it was just considered like middle class. And I was like, I know it was kind of a joke, but it's like, it does seem like that might be accurate today, and that's fucking terrifying. And I think that this is just a realization that people are struggling to maybe come to grips with, and that is that, like, gaming is an expensive hobby. It is. I'm not saying it isn't worth it, but it is, just because it's worth it doesn't mean it's not expensive. And with the way things are going, economically speaking, this is why, more and more game devs are looking to like things like mobile, and they are looking at things like live service, because live service is risky as well. But it's like, look at what's being played. Look at what's making the most money. Look at what's creating the largest safety nets for a select few companies. And look at what's tanking companies. Of course, a failed live service game can tank a game studio, but it seems to be the same with a single player game. And the problem with a traditional single player game is that when you sell that game, and you get the bulk of your sales up front, if your game doesn't have a long tail, that's it. Like, you better hope you made enough money off the sales, because this is not a live service game. People are not going to be coming back and spending more money on it. And yeah, I think it's just unfortunate what's going on right now all around, because the games industry it's in the process of correcting itself, because the entire economy is in the process, if you're looking at it optimistically, of correcting itself. But, there are a lot of people who feel that things are past the point of no return. There are people and analysts who believe that, yeah, we're just kind of fucked. Like, there's just not much we can do. It's just, it's unsustainable. And I'm not just talking about gaming, like, just, the money, the debt, the inflation. It's just, it's not going to work. There's like something very drastic and almost like artificially initiated needs to occur in order for this to work. And so, yeah, it's weird, man. It's weird. It's a weird situation. I just think when you look at this year, and it's not just the gaming industry, like, every industry is cutting back, cutting down, shrinking. We can look at, even when we look at like Microsoft, right? It's like, oh, Microsoft, they're worth $3 trillion, but they're still laying people off. They're still closing some studios. They're still cutting down. And it's because, listen, I've talked about this before, how that it's hard for that to make sense in my brain, because it's like you're valued at your value as a company is $3 trillion. Like, or, that's not real. That's not like a real amount of money. It just feels like kind of made up. It's just such a incomprehensible large amount of money. But you still have to shut studios down and close. It's like and lay off people. And it's because the reality of how this works is these companies and these businesses, regardless of how valuable they are, like, they're not going to be a charity. They're not going to say, well, we can afford you, so we'll keep you. No, it's, do we need you or not? Are you delivering for us or not? And if the answer is no, it doesn't matter how much money they have, how valuable they are. They're not. That's just how this goes. And that kind of gets into a more philosophical discussion about what's wrong with capitalism and what's wrong with, late stage capitalism and all that shit. But I don't mean to sound so doomer. I guess I just sound this way because it's like, I don't have the answers. I'm just one random dude here. If I fucking had the answers, I'd be shouting them from the rooftops. But I try to make sense of what's going on. I try to understand, like, how everything has gotten into the position it's in. But the reality, I think, and the simplest way to put this, I as I think everybody is in the process collectively, if we're talking about the games industry, everybody is in the process of trying to figure it out. But if we extend it beyond the games industry, that same exact sentiment applies where everybody in the country or even in the world, if you want to, make it a global thing, everybody's trying to figure it the fuck out because what we all know is that something is changing. Something has changed, and we are trying to sort it out. And as that's happening, some people are going to fucking sink. Not everybody's going to be able to swim. And that's a sad but brutal, harsh reality of life. Hate to say it. Subtext, we got Ryan C. Peters here saying, I lost my respect for their business strategy. I blame Jim Ryan mostly. I'd rather have a PSX announced than a showcase. I'm now getting more livid. Yeah, well, trust me, as somebody who has been frustrated with Microsoft for years, I can tell you that no amount of frustration is going to change anything. It's just the truth. I mean, I get what you're saying, and I get it too, but it doesn't mean don't voice your frustration. But it's like, you do kind of have to reach that point where I've accepted that no matter what I think or feel about Sony PlayStation, like, dude, I have no idea what they're going to do. I have zero control whatsoever, zero impact on what they're going to do. And I just have to decide, how I'm going to talk about that. And that's the reality. The best I can do is just talk about what I want them to do. And yes, I still feel at this time that Sony, and I mean this, look, putting the talk about the cost of game dev and all this stuff aside, putting all that aside, Sony has dropped the fucking ball this generation big time. They've lost the ball at this point when it comes to communication and fanfare. I do think that what we saw in January of this year showed a spark of hope that, okay, all right, hold on. Maybe they're starting to figure it out again where, they let's be honest, they brought the heat with that state of play in January. It was the best state of play they ever did. But outside of that, this generation has failed to generate anywhere near the type of fanfare and excitement that the PS4 generation did. And that to me sucks. It doesn't. The fact that PlayStation is doing well and doing just fine doesn't make that not suck. Does that make sense? That's great. I'm happy that Sony's doing well. I'd much rather see the PlayStation brand in a healthy position than failing and being on the fucking... I don't know. At this point, maybe it would be cool to see Sony on the ropes because they would fucking work their ass off to... I don't want it to come to that. That's what I'm trying to say, man. Sony did what they did when it comes to communication with the fans, and really, they had something to fucking prove. That's the reality. Sony had something to fucking prove because they knew that if they didn't, you're done. You're done. PS3's on the fucking ropes. What are you going to do, Sony? And they doubled down. They regrouped. They reorganized. And they said, you know what? We got to rally around the fans. And we got to build from that. And they continued that with the PS4. They knew that it wasn't over just because they turned the PS3 around. They knew that we got to keep this momentum going for the PS4. And I do feel like the momentum did not come to a stop in 2020 when the PS5 launched. The momentum was absolutely there in 2020 at the launch of the PS5. The momentum was lost in 2021. And if you say you blame Jim Ryan, I don't know what occurred between the year. Well, I mean, we know what occurred, but I mean, I don't know what changed exactly between the launch year in 2020 and 2021, because believe me, trust me, the momentum was also, it could be, maybe it was the shortage. Maybe it really was that there was all of this insane momentum, and Sony did the right thing that they had to do in the year 2020 with the showcases and whatnot, but then like literally nobody could buy the console. And maybe that killed the fucking hype. But even if that's true, Sony hasn't done anything to help it. 2023 was the first year where anybody can buy this console. There's zero shortage, and they have their worst showcase ever. And so it's like, here we are in 2024, and I just don't want, I want to see a fucking different PlayStation, dude. I want to see PlayStation go back to that fanfare. I do. I really do. Because this version of PlayStation, when it comes to how they treat showcases and their continued, I don't even want to call it silence, but they don't bring the fucking enthusiasm, dude. Like, has anybody noticed this? I know you guys have noticed this, where Sony doesn't seem to hype anything up anymore. Like, they just don't give a shit whether you're hyped or not. They're just like, this is what it is. Even when you fucking tune into the State of Plays, they have like a robotic sounding woman. And if she's not robotic sounding, she's just totally like, it's just business as usual here, guys. And it's like, that fucking sucks. I'd fucking rather have Shuhei Yoshida come out and present that whole thing. You know? That would be more exciting. Just because I don't know, man. He would probably at least try to bring some kind of level of enthusiasm. I feel like this is what PlayStation has been lacking. They've been too sterile. They have been. Like, PlayStation's been way too sterile. And Microsoft's on the opposite end, which is ironic. Microsoft has been overly communicating to a point where it's like, okay, guys, like, you're forgetting that you're business executives. You're going to catch yourself in a lie here. You're putting your foot in your mouth, you know? And there has to be, I think, a middle ground. There has to be a better middle ground where I don't think there would be anything wrong with Sony just saying, you know what, we want to share a little bit more frequently. And it doesn't even have to come in the form of a fucking, honestly, like, it doesn't have to come in the form of a big ass trailer or like, here's a gameplay chunk. We know that shit is reserved for like once a year at most. But I feel like even like 3 or 4 years ago, or even maybe 5 years ago, last generation, basically, like, we were hearing from the developers. Like, the developers were giving us some updates. They were talking about the games, and there was just this room there to get excited. And this is why I fucking hate, like, dude, in the year 2024, all it is lower your expectations. Lower your expectations, buddy. Lower that shit, okay? Whatever you got going on, bring it down. And it's like, dude, I don't even want to do this anymore if this is how it's got to be. What is the point of that? Where is the fun? Isn't that what this is? This is supposed to be about fun, right? This is supposed to be about entertainment and fun. And it's like, where does that fall in with that? And I don't know, maybe it's just indicative of where we are as a society, bro. Maybe that's what it is. It's like, yo, listen, it's the year 2024. When it comes to anything, bring it down. You're going to want to bring that shit down. Dial it down, because this ain't the year, bro. And I'm starting to think that's what it is. It's just a societal thing. It's a world thing. It's like 2024, down year, bro. Sorry. Harsh times. The dark times, whatever you want to call it. Maybe Astrobot can save us, though, guys. Astro, save us. Be the shining light. Be the beacon that we all need. All right, we got subtext here. Thank you, buddy. You're saying this conversation reminds me of a thread by a former director of business at Square Enix, provided a ton of insight worth reading and reacting. Can find it at Navik. John Carmack reposted it this morning. You know what? Maybe I will read through that a little bit more because you're the second person to bring that up. Yeah, I'm going to have to bring the Astro. I wish I could unlock more emotes, man. Like, I'm limited to 30. That's the problem. The only way I can unlock more is we got to hit like channel member milestones. Like we gotta like, I don't know, we gotta hit like 2,900 members or 3,000 members or some crazy shit like that to unlock another emoji slot. Digital Dude 25 saying the future is AI/robots, not just in gaming. AI is cheaper to use than humans. Hard truth. Yeah, I agree with that, but I do think that poses a problem, a societal problem. Like if the future is about AI and robots, and let's say that AI and robots pretty much start to take over for the simple fact that they're cheaper. They're not human. They're cheaper. That poses a serious threat to the systems, that we have, that we rely on to keep society together. Like it poses a threat to that. It does. And we got Mini Tom Official coming out, dropping a second 5-bomb on you guys today. Mini Tom Official's doing some work for the channel, doing some heavy lifting here. That's 10 memberships gifted.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Really appreciate that, Mini Tom. That brings us up to 15 members on the day. Guys, we are a 10 bomb away. 10 membership gifts away from hitting the goal. So thank you for that. But I mean, it's like, yeah, if everybody is being replaced by robots and AI, how are people going to make a living? Is it going to force us to all come together and realize that we're just going to have to share the wealth, people? No more billionaires. No more multi-billionaires. We're just going to have to spread it out and make sure everybody can be comfortable. Is that what we're going to have to do? That sounds like communism to me. But what, like how is capitalism going to be? How can capitalism not erode, like truly, if robots and AI are fucking basically replacing half the workforce? Like what? Like how is that even going to work? I mean, that's the scales are going to be so fucking lopsided at that point. The problem is greed and power. Ah, yes, as always. Skynet will figure that out for us. Yeah, we can only hope. We can only hope. Money says Square Enix never had high expectations. Read it. All right. I'll read it. We also have Perfect Image saying Sony, no shortage. Xbox has first right to chips. Yeah, that seemingly didn't help them, though, if that was true. I remember reading that. But let me read through this because you guys are telling me it's definitely worth it. All right. So this is from a former Square Enix director of business at Square Enix Holdings. Okay. So he says, as a reminder, I reported to 2 CEOs of Square Enix for the better part of a decade and ran a subsidiary. I also correctly predicted last year that Square Enix was going to break exclusivity. I'll note that I have no confidential information that I'm basing my arguments on. To start, we need to look at decisions made on the titles under development within the lens of 2015 to 2022, not the lens of 2023. For example, FF16 would have started pre-production prior to the release of FF15, which was released in 2016. This is a pre-Fortnite era. Budgets for FF7 Remake and into Rebirth would have been around this period too. This is important to note, and we'll get back to it. There's a misunderstanding that has been repeated for nearly a decade and a half that Square Enix sets arbitrarily high sales requirements, then gets upset when its arbitrarily high sales requirements fail to be met. This was not true when I was there and is unlikely to be true today. Sales expectations generally come from a need to cover the cost of development plus the return on investment. If a game costs $100 million to make and takes 5 years, then you have to beat, as an example, what the business could have returned investing $100 million into the stock market over that period. For the 5 years prior to February 2024, the stock market averaged a rate of return of 14.5%. Investing that $100 million in the stock market would net you a return of $201 million. So this is our ROI, or return on investment, baseline. Can the game net a return higher than this after marketing, platform fees, and discounts are factored in? This is actually a very hard equation, though it seems simple. The $70 that the consumer pays only returns $49 after 30% platform fees, and the platforms will generally get a recoup on any funds spent on exclusivity, meaning until they are paid back, they will keep that cash. Plus, discounts start almost immediately. Assume marketing expenses at $50 million and assume that you're not going to get $49, but rather an average closer to $40 given discounts, returns, and other aspects. Now, let's say in that first month you sold 3 million copies with a $40 net received. We will ignore the recoup. You need to surpass $254 million to make expectations. That's $100 million plus $101 million in ROI baseline plus $50 million in marketing. From the statements made, it will take Final Fantasy XVI 18 months to hit expected sales. I use the stock market as an example, but actual ROI should be higher than stock market averages. The sales figures required aren't wild expectations. The number of copies sold were too low, and my numbers are actually much higher than realities. Game dev costs are probably 2 times as high, and marketing is also likely 2 times as high, and this makes ROI requirements higher as well. But that's not even the core of the problem. This is just me proving that expectations aren't set immodestly. The core of the problem is that the budgets were set in a period where the expectation was that audiences would grow. Total audience growth was a reasonable expectation in the 2015 to 2022 era and still is today. Not only had the industry grown significantly each year, but each day that new generations were coming of age, they were coming of age gamers, meaning that your total addressable population should be increasing and you should be increasing your revenue. What's happened, not just to Square Enix, but to the industry as a whole, audience behavior patterns are radically different than expected in 2015. Remember, I said 2015 was pre-Fortnite. The way it used to work was that you'd pick your release date similar to a Hollywood movie, stick to it, and consider the competition to be the titles releasing the weeks before and after. We would look at Hitman or Deus Ex releases and consider whether there was a Call of Duty or Assassin's Creed coming out around that same time, assuming that gamers had X amount of money to spend and Y amount of time, and that if we wanted to get the full sticker price, remember, discounts eat into each cash received, and also at the same time used disc sales were $0 cash received. We needed to get as many sales in the first 2 weeks as possible. At that time, as a gamer, once you finished the most recent game you were on, you moved on to the next. You were looking for your next title once you finished the prior one. We wanted one of our titles to be the next title you bought to fill your gamer needs. Earlier this month, Kotaku had an article called 9 Great Games We Can't Stop Thinking About. There's a surprise 10th slide, and that is Fortnite. The article writes, and once again, another weekend arrives, and I realize that I'll be spending most of it playing Fortnite. I'm very close to maxing out both my Battle Pass and Festival Pass, so that's the plan. I hate how deep Fortnite has its hooks into me to the point where I'm choosing to play it over brand new, cool-looking video games, but I can't help it. I must finish these damn passes, get all the rewards, and earn the right to play other stuff. Well, until the next season starts up, and I once again return to Fortnite to drop in and level up all over again. It's sick. I hate myself. I can't wait to play more this weekend. This is indeed the point. Square Enix are not competing against just the latest new installments. They are competing against every free-to-play online game that is constantly adding content and getting more robust over time. The assumption was that people would jump between products when they finished one. But as you know, free-to-play games like Fortnite or Warzone are evergreen. They never get old. They're always updating with new content and experiences. They can continue for decades. Candy Crush has had its best years ever in the last few years, and companies like Epic can continue to invest back into the products to make them better, creating even higher barriers to entry for competitors. Boss, hold on, guys. I'm sorry. He's cat, man. I'm just trying to read this. Catnip break. Hold on. Man, this is a long read. Let's finish it out, though. Continues by saying the games industry is still growing in revenue, but that revenue is increasingly captured by fewer live service games that are generating a level of stickiness seen in social media companies. There are reasons there are very few competitors to Facebook. Once the network effect starts, it can keep going for a long time. Since Instagram, also Facebook, the only real competitor in an entire decade that showed up and could quickly reach 1 billion plus people was TikTok. And this is in a $1 trillion valued industry. I expect Fortnite, Roblox, Warzone, and similar products to continue to grow revenue. Meanwhile, put yourself in an older gamer's shoes. If you're a gamer with disposable income but less free time, and you have the choice of paying $70 to play 100 hours in Final Fantasy 16 or just continue playing Fortnite with your friends for free, you'll wait to see the FF16 reviews before you decide whether to switch off Fortnite. In other words, your switching costs, how good a game is, how exciting it needs to be, are now substantially higher than when you'd finish the latest Assassin's Creed and look for the next title to fill your time because you're awash with content options. Fortnite doesn't end. This is the reason we see trends where games are either spectacular 10 out of 10 successes or disasters with little in between. There is no next hit being searched for in many cases, and this polarization makes risks higher and costs higher too. We will get into this in a moment. Now, if you're a younger gamer in your teens, you may not even be thinking about Final Fantasy. If you are 13 years old now, you were 5 years old when the last mainline Final Fantasy, FF15, came out. Your family may not own a PS5 and you may not care. You're satisfied with Fortnite or Roblox or Minecraft with your friends on your phone or laptop. I'm not saying that this is the case for everyone, but it certainly is a trend. The old AAA franchises do not seem to be converting the younger generations that the industry was counting on for growth, and instead free-to-play social games on mobile are where they spend their time. This is the reason every publisher chased live service titles, audiences clearly gravitated towards them, and profits followed in success. It is surprising that Square Enix, which had successful free-to-play live service mobile titles in Japan, left the AAA live service attempts to Eidos rather than to try to build those products in Japan, but dissecting this problem would likely require an entirely different thread. Regardless, that Fortniteization of the industry was not entirely predictable in 2015 when budgets were being planned. Even after Fortnite came out and we were well into the COVID period, it felt like industry growth was pulling all ships forward, not just a handful, but that isn't what happened. Now we have to get to the cost of development. Asset generation, motion capture, textures, animation, engineering, infrastructure are incredibly expensive, making games cost a lot of money. The recent layoff wave is generally a consolidation towards a new expected sales average in the number of titles being produced, not the cost of an individual title, which is going to continue. Spider-Man 2 cost $380 million. Development costs have gone up, but switching costs of the consumer have gone up. And as a result, companies have to invest even more because it has to be a 10 out of 10 or gamers will stick to Fortnite. I don't literally mean Fortnite, but similar types of products. Meanwhile, FF7 Rebirth, which has a 92% Metacritic rating, can't get the sales it needs, though it's also complicated due to it being a sequel. These factors mean the status quo must change. There are 3 levers you can pull to make the equation work for return on investment at a gameplay company or at a game company. You can decrease cost, increase price, or increase audience size. As noted, any non-service game is having trouble increasing audience size. Meanwhile, on the cost side, inflation is up, salaries are up, and the consumers require sophisticated, beautiful products to get them to fork over cash rather than keep playing free-to-play titles. It is true that there are many smaller games or less beautiful games that generate audiences and are profitable, but something like Balatro is not a good example to point to. It's made by one person. AAA games can take hundreds, thousands of people to make. A single person making $2 to $3 million in sales is life-changing. 100 people trying to split that is not enough money. And products like Balatro are lightning in a bottle. You can't generally capture that twice, and there are hundreds of thousands of competing products on Steam or app stores that fail for every Balatro. That leaves the only price left as a lever to pull. Since the price of games hasn't substantially increased relative to inflation, packaged disc games have gotten cheaper over the last 2 decades. The assumption was that this was okay because the audience size would grow instead of price, but the audience went to the platform titles. Prices for packaged disc games will go up. Game companies have no choice, and it's the only lever left to pull. Just look at Kotaku's article about GTA 6's price point from this week. And we have just 2 more threads here. You're also seeing the trend with Ubisoft Star Wars games. It's not because game companies are penny pinchers looking to fleece their users. It's because this is the only path left to make non-free-to-play service titles workable in the AAA space given cost and competition. Something has to give. If Square Enix can't get its costs of dev down, it will go further up and is getting good reviews, but is not increasing its audience. They and the rest of the publishers are going to have to increase the price point. Otherwise, live service titles will be all we have left. There's another path that I can think of, which is increasing the take rate. If publishers can capture more of the platform side revenue, they can moderate price point increases while capturing a better return on investment because they'll be capturing, say, $50 or $55 out of $70. Tim Sweeney knows this, which is why he's fighting the good fight on platform fees, both at EGS and with app stores to open up PC and mobile ecosystems. This is also why you'll see Microsoft and others take advantage of his fight and start their own app stores. You would think Microsoft would chip in for Epic's legal fees, given they're capturing the benefits with no risk, but this path will take time and is very hard on consoles where the AAA publishers make a lot of their money. So expect price increases to be the norm. Holy shit, that was long. Did not realize how long that thread was. You guys could have warned me, but there you go. There you go. If you're I was wondering why. Now we know why. If you want to know why Square Enix is saying 3 million, 4 million is not enough in sales. If you're wondering why, a Ubisoft AAA game they're charging $130 for some editions, this is why. He breaks it down very well. Could you repeat that? Fuck no, bro. Let me try to summarize what he's saying, though. Okay, I will try to summarize and translate or condense, give you the gist of it. The gist of what he's essentially saying is that $70 for AAA games is not enough to ensure that enough money is made, that the ROI, the return on investment, it's just not enough. Unless the sales are ridiculously high. That's what's causing the risk. And the reason why the $70 price point is likely going to have to go up is because the audience isn't growing. One of the most important things that I think he revealed here that he talked about is that apparently these companies, and Sony is definitely included with this, these AAA game companies that rely on these AAA game sales, they were under the impression back in 2014, 15, and 16 that by the time we get to where we are now, 2024, 2025, that the audience of the people buying these AAA games would have grown. Maybe they wouldn't have doubled, but they would have grown. And that's not the case. That audience is not growing. It's stagnating. And so that was basically their plan in order to avoid having to increase game prices further. Now that plan isn't working out, I think the single most important thing that this, this entire thread, the single most important sentence is that the only lever left to pull is to increase game prices if we're not going to just be left with nothing but free-to-play games in the AAA space. That's fucking crazy. That right there, this was a really good read because I think it did a great job in actually showing you like this is how unstable the AAA single player game industry is right now. And there's only one lever left to pull. And I don't think that's going to work. If they increase the prices again, I don't think people are going to accept that. And so what we have to maybe look for going forward, what we have to be prepared for, I should say, if things don't change economically, right? Because that was my whole thing. I kept pointing to the economics, but something that this thread pointed out from this person that worked at Square Enix, something that I didn't consider is we're seeing an increasing focus on the next generation of gamers, the younger generation, and it's sad, but it's true that like their expectations are totally different from most of ours. I'm 30 years old. When I grew up gaming on PS1, PS2, PS3, and Xbox 360 and whatnot, my expectation was exactly what he described. I play a game, and when I'm finished with that game, I move on to the next one. That's not what today's generation of gamers are doing. Today's generation of gamers are, they're and I do find myself, even now at 30 years old, like I still go back to games like Dead by Daylight and play them. And it does seem like, guys, I think Jim Ryan was right. I think Jim Ryan was completely fucking right. Like, I think he was on the money and then some. Because I'll never forget that interview that Jim Ryan did where he said gaming, he said live service games are subscription services within themselves. And he's right. Hey, come on, boss. I think he's absolutely right. Because when you look at what games are preventing people from moving on, they are games that you just stay on and you continue to give money to. And in return, they just constantly give you new content. That's a subscription service. That's what that is, and it's, I guess, maybe just viewing it in that way. I don't know, man. Something that really blew my mind in recent memory was when we saw the announcement. I don't know the name of it, but talking about Fortnite, how there are actual new games being created inside of Fortnite. Like, Fortnite is being leveraged as a platform now. Like, that's fucking crazy. And this is the future of gaming, people. Whether we like it or not. The reason why I say it's the future of gaming, whether we like it or not, because we are not, well, I don't know the age of all of you here, but again, I'm assuming a lot of you guys are the same age as me, or maybe a little bit older, or just a tad bit younger. But maybe there's some teenagers here, or young. I mean, there shouldn't be kids here watching this stream. You're 97, Chris. Damn. But we're not the younger generation. I sit here and I say, I'm not fucking playing Fortnite. I'm not playing that shit. That doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean anything, these companies, because for every person like me at 30 years old that says I'm not playing Fortnite, there's like 15 kids lined up to play it. Just itching to get that next battle pass. And I think what's going to ultimately happen is I think these video game publishers are going to come out and they're going to say, listen, we're going to increase the price of our games. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Hold on. I think that's what's going to happen. They're going to increase the price of they're going to announce, games are going to go up to $80 or more. And we're going to be left with a choice where it's like, we're either going to accept that and say, okay, this is the cost of, supporting AAA. But hold on. See, something in my brain is breaking here as I'm saying this. Something in my brain is breaking, and here's what's breaking. It brings me back to the same larger conversation of like, but I've talked about this before about there being something inherently broken and wrong with the system. And I do think it seems like what's about to happen to the games industry is like no different than what has kind of happened in America, where it's like, there's just like people who they have like hundreds of billions of dollars. Like they have so much money that if they actively tried to get rid of all of it, they couldn't. It's impossible. And they're just sitting on it. Meanwhile, there is like mass, there's like mass problems across the country of like people having trouble affording their groceries and it's like feels like a fucking second depression's coming. And it feels like this is basically going to be reflected in the game industry, where it's like you're going to have these companies like Microsoft and like Sony, multi-billion-dollar conglomerates, multi-trillion-dollar tech companies where they're like, we're not fucking covering that cost. Are you kidding me? We're not a charity. We're not here to keep the art alive. That's your fucking job. You cover the cost. That's what we're about to see. That's what we are seeing, and it's going to get worse. And I get it. Like, I get it. You're a business, but fuck you. Okay? Like, I'm just a person trying to make it out here. Fuck you and your your fucking hundreds of billions of dollars and your trillions of dollars. Fuck you. You cover the fucking cost, you piece of shit. You cover the fucking cost. I don't want to hear this shit that, I don't want to hear this shit about billion, trillion dollar fucking company struggle. The government can cover the fucking cost. Somebody else can cover the cost. This is bullshit. This is bullshit. You know how much milk costs these days? Fuck. I am going to go play Fortnite. That's why Fortnite wins. Because Fortnite says you can play and you don't have to pay. And that's why free-to-play is going to win. Free-to-play is going to be the future of gaming, whether we like it or not. And it's not even going to be our fault. It's going to be because we're going to sit here, we're going to be like, this is bullshit, bro. I don't want to pay $100 for Spider-Man 3. I don't want to pay $100 for any game. 70 is a lot. I'm willing to support. But, like, you want more? Like, now we're going beyond 70? Like, come on. I ain't made of money. You are. You are fucking made of money. It's the world's fault. I hate this world. I got to get that. I know. I got to bring the classic rant emoji back. The one with Kratos. All right, let me read some of these super chats. All right, we got Jay Van saying Jacob is coping after the the Silent Hill Ascension fiasco. Oh, yeah, dude. We don't talk about that. We don't talk about Silent Hill Ascension. I forgot about that till you just mentioned it. That's funny, dude. That's funny. Have you learned nothing from Kojima? The government is the problem. Oh, I know. But that's like automatically assumed, But the government ain't gonna figure anything out. So it's up to us. And I don't know. I'm starting to doubt us as well. Turns out nobody knows what the fuck they're doing. We live in a society. Yeah. Chris Brown, you're saying Neil Druckmann said AI will change how Naughty Dog makes games. Yeah, I bet it will. No more crunch. Why crunch when you can have AI do it for you? Yeah, I think we're cooked, bro. I think humanity. No, I think not humanity. Well, humanity's always being tested. Society as a whole is going to be tested in the next decade. We're going to be tested. Like, we're going to have to realize we're just going to have to come together and make this work. And it's going to mean we need to, like, bend the rules. And that's going to be the problem. The problem is going to be, like, it's kind of crazy to me how, you know, when the pandemic happened and COVID hit, notice how quickly, like, everything went out the window. Like, there are no more rules here. We have to make new rules right now. Like, whatever our founding fucking principles were, and like we will do this, we won't do that. Like, we gotta, you know, the red tape is here. Like, there's no more red tape. Like, this is chaos. This is just pure chaos because we just need to try to keep this shit going at any cost, right? And yeah, I do. Yeah, I think COVID was the test run. And I think we barely got through it, and we're all kind of looking around like, all right, we did it. Meanwhile, there's like the aftermath of like, oh, wait, hold on. There were actually more systemic problems there that we kind of started to, like, we could kind of see a little bit of like what some of these problems were, but you're really not going to feel the effects of these problems until a couple years later. Gamers rise up, ? Yeah, it's really interesting to think about because I get this sense that things cannot continue the way they're going without some type of intervention. Like, really. And I just don't know what that intervention is going to look like. MBG, I read an article yesterday talking about how bars and clubs are dying off as Gen Zs and going out to party and hooking up. Yeah, things are changing, man. Things are changing very quickly. And I don't really go out anymore at all. Truthfully, I don't. Like, and that's not even a pandemic thing. Like, the lockdowns and shit definitely made me, like, I was totally fine during the lockdowns where I'm like, this is great. I know that's not fair to say because, like, for a lot of people it wasn't, but dude, I was fine. I'm like, yeah, I hate going out. Like, I like this. But and that's why it's crazy to me where, like, for me, that's totally normal, but I could understand if you're somebody that's like, you're used to being out and about and around people all the time. Like, some people seriously got psychologically messed up. I guess it would be like the equivalent if I was told I got to go out there and be out there all the time for like the next 6 months and interact with people. Like, I'd probably be psychologically damaged as well too. Like, don't make me do that, Don't make me do that. Don't make me do things. Subtext, you're saying that thread's point about needing, excuse me, something hugely exciting to pull people away from the service games is more reason Sony needs to bring the hype. Yeah. I don't think Sony's going to change their course anytime soon. I do think Sony is completely aware of this. I think this is why they're expanding the PC. I think that this is why they're fully embracing live service. But I think Sony is being smart about it and understanding that you can't erode your core foundation and abandon single player games, especially when that's what you built all your single or your studios to make. So I agree. Subtext. Sony needs to bring the hype. Orange, fake insider Orange says, sit tight, my friend. A 500 kilogram will soon fall on the showcase non-believers, and I will be the one laughing when they reveal Medieval 2 remake. Haha. Yeah, we'll see. It would be really funny if they actually did reveal Medieval 2 remake after all the shit that went down with that game and the rumor and whatnot. You were the one that started that rumor, I think. You said it was fake. But I don't know, man. To be honest, a Medieval 2 remake doesn't sound like something Sony would greenlight at this point in time. Just being honest. I don't think so. We got Money here saying Phil Spencer said this years ago. Is he a visionary? Yeah, he could be. Phil Spencer's a visionary, man. The problem, Microsoft has had this problem for the longest time, where Microsoft always seems to be not always, but in some cases ahead of the curve, but like way too far ahead, to where it's like no one's ready for this. You're like 10 years too early, or like 15 years too early. Like the time, they say timing is everything. It's true. Timing is everything. Just because you have enough foresight to be able to see this is where things are going to go, so I should just do it now. Yeah, that's not how that works. That's not how that works. And we've seen it proven time and time again where the timing is everything. Phil's a visionary. Phil is the clown visionary. We got Jay Van here saying the future of gaming is lost to greed and money. I think everything is, as of right now. Yeah, I could talk for a while about money, because I've been thinking about, like, I've been thinking about for my whole life about, like, money. How important is money? I think at some point in time, everybody, as they become an adult, starts to question, like, how, like what role does money really play in my life? What role should it play? And I kind of go back and forth, like there are days where I definitely feel like, man, money is everything. You can't do shit without money. Like, what the fuck can you do without money? If you have any aspiration to do anything, you need money, right? But then you also think, but what can you do that doesn't require money? And how important are those things? What about the other things in your life? It's a conundrum. I do think it's a conundrum. Is that a real question? I mean, look, man, it's weird because I think that a person needs multiple things in their life. Like there's, to say that, like, people say, oh, money will make you happy or money won't make you happy. It's like, no, money is one of a few things that can influence greatly your quality of life and potentially your happiness. Health, money, love. There you go. It's that simple. It's that simple. Health, money, love. Because in order to be healthy, you need money, at least a certain amount. In order to love, you don't need money to love. You definitely don't. But like, if you want to have a family or anything like that, like, yeah, you're gonna need money. So you need to have a balance in all these areas. You don't know any happy broke people? Yeah, that's the thing. I think that there are miserable broke people. I think that there are miserable rich people. And it could be that a miserable broke person has what the rich person doesn't have, but they're also lacking that money. And then the rich person has the one thing that the miserable broke person doesn't have. I don't know. I feel like I'm slowly becoming a doomer as I get older, man. Balance is the key. Balance is the key. Balance is hard, though. Balance is very hard because balance requires discipline. It requires focus, and it's too easy to lose those things. It really is. You know what's so interesting to me? Does anybody here have like credit card debt of any kind? I'm sure some of you have some kind of debt, or maybe not just credit card debt, but just any kind of debt. Isn't it kind of crazy to think if you live in the United States, like the United States is in like, what is it, like $35 trillion in debt? You have no debt? That's good. Yeah. If you're like 30, the US is in like $35 trillion in debt or some shit like that. And I just always find it so funny when it's like, make sure you pay your credit cards, guys. Make sure you pay your debt. It's like, our fucking country's 35 trillion in debt. Like, but again, it has to fall on us. All this shit's fake, bro. Like that's when I reach like Matrix level of like, none of this is real. Like, this is all just made up. Like, we just made this shit. Who made it? Well, why was it made? All of these things are made and created to keep everything flowing, to keep society working, as a coherent, functioning unit. That's great. What happens when that starts to break down? It means you need a new fucking way. You need a new system. The old way's fucking broken. I want to go back to being young and ignorant, bro. Ignorance is bliss. I remember when I was a teenager, like 12, 13 years old, I would just go out. I'd skate all day. I grab my MP3 player, grab my skateboard. Maybe, one of my parents would give me like $20 and I would just fucking go skate all day. And when I got thirsty or hungry, I'd just stop by a convenience store, grab a drink, maybe grab a couple slices of pizza from a pizza place. And that's what the day was. It was just listening to music, skating, and just making sure I'm getting some type of nutrition. Those were the days, man. Those were the days. I miss those days. When will we know MBG's political views? Oh, dude. I don't really have the strongest political views either way. I feel like that to me, it just comes down to knowing that there's multiple sides and it's like pick your side. The way I've always seen it is, okay, listen, I'm pretty sure what this is it's two groups of people that they both believe they have the best of intentions. But we all know how the saying goes. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. And I just think that there are groups of people on both sides. And here's the trick. You ready? Within those groups, there are both good and bad people. Isn't that a crazy concept? This is what No Showcase does to a man. But isn't that a crazy concept? There's two groups of people with opposing ideas and thoughts, and within those groups, there are good and bad people. And that's the problem, is usually the bad people are the ones who cause the fucking problems and the fighting and the bad apples of the group are the ones that prevent any meaningful progress from being made. And that's just, again, that's humanity, bro. That's human nature. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Because you could have, there's 10 people on side, on the green side. There's 10 people on the blue side, right? And 9 people from the green side, 9 people from the blue side. They can come together, they can shake hands, and they can agree to disagree, and they can say, you know what, this can work. But there's just one person on each side. It's that one person, the 10th person on the green side, the 10th person on the blue side. And they're like, no, fuck that. Fuck those bros. Fuck them. And usually that's enough to cause, the 9 other people to be like, what's going on with bro over there? Well, what's going on? I thought we had a thing here. It's like, oh yeah, just ignore him. But you can't ignore him because he's the fucking loudest motherfucker in the room. And he's causing chaos. He's tearing shit down. He's breaking shit. So then, somebody's got to step in. Bro, I'm making you depressed. I'm sorry. I know. This is what No Showcase does to a man. I wanted to conjure a showcase today, but instead, Sony's got to make me have my fucking, 10th crisis in a matter of 48 hours. My 10th existential crisis. Why 372? I named it 372 because I think it's been 372 days since Sony announced their last showcase. That's why. Miguel says, agree, MBG. This is late stage capitalism and will affect everything. Capitalism is itself. It's all money gets centered in into the billionaires and companies. Well, that's why I'm saying like some kind of reset is going to be necessary. It just is. Like it just won't work this way. It just won't. It cannot continue to just be the rich get richer and the poor get poorer, because that is the opposite of balance. And with that level of imbalance, there will be an inherent erosion from a foundational level. And I think where things likely get very messy is, you know, revolution. Fuck, man. Like, that's not going to happen in 2024. You know, there's not going to be some kind of revolution, you know, like it's not going to be like the 1700s, you know, in the 18, no, it's not going to be like a civil war or anything like that. You know, martial law would go into effect. And the moment martial law goes into effect, yeah, then it's just a dictatorship. And, then everything's fucked. Yeah. I'm going too deep into it, but, you know, hopefully somebody can figure it out, man. Hopefully somebody can figure it out. Sony, save us. Mark Cerny can save us with Knack 3. Knack 3 will unify the world. Antonio, you're saying that I missed your... Oh, you know what? My bad. I'm sorry about that. Antonio, thank you for pointing that out. Antonio Lopes says the 8 to 20-year-old generation will take over and they don't give a shit about the games of the former generation loved. People aren't ready for what's coming. I agree. I often question when this happens, am I going to be like, how am I going to feel about it? It reminds me of music, dude. Like I listen to mostly, and I wasn't even born in the 80s, but I listen to like 80s music, mostly 90s music, early aughts music, and I hardly listen. Like, I still do listen to some modern stuff, but compared to the amount of like 80s, 90s, and early alt stuff I listen to, not at all. And I see what music the younger generation is into and like what they're listening to and like what trends and shit. And I'm like, dude, I'm over here like, what the fuck is that? It feels so foreign to me. It feels so alien. I'm like, I'm not vibing with that. No, even if I tried, like, I'm not vibing with it. And I like kind of came to the realization somewhat recently that like, oh wow, okay, like this is it for me. You know, like this is where I'm stuck now. I mean, there will still be new music. Like a lot of the bands that I look forward to new music from, they're getting older, man. You know, they're getting older, and it's just a matter of time until they're not really making music anymore. And there aren't many younger bands or artists that I'm anticipating new music from. And I'm just realizing that, oh, okay, this is it for me. And I'm just wondering what that's going to look like in gaming for me. Maybe I'll be more adaptable in gaming. Because here's an example. You know, one of the games I'm most excited about, it is a free-to-play game. It could be shit, and it could be totally ass when it comes out, but Skate 4, like, I love the Skate games. It's been a really long time, and I get why they're going free-to-play. But I can't deny that that's a game. I'm downloading that day one on my PS5, and I wouldn't be surprised that that's a game I get hooked on because I love the Skate games. I love Skate 3. And that's, you know, I like to think that that's my way of kind of realizing that I'm more adaptable in gaming, where if it's something that I can enjoy, then that's all that matters, you know? So we'll see. Music is cyclical. 80s synth pop is returning. Yeah, I do believe that. I do believe that music is cyclical, and I'm wondering when like the kind of 90s rock era, hard rock and metal, when that's going to return. Maybe in the next decade or two. Miguel, you're saying, or sorry, Monkey Ken 8 saying nothing to say, just trying to summon a showcase announcements. And yeah, by this point, look, I thought maybe by this point in time, the showcase would have been announced. I was thinking maybe 3 p.m. Eastern. No announcement. And so, you know, I'm just looking at another picture of Eve here. filling up my timeline, and holy shit. It is crystal clear that nothing was censored here. Wow. Okay. Whew. I mean, at this rate, why not just make her naked, you know? Why not? What would really change? Not much. Not much. After Harambe got killed, everything, what the hell? Oh, shit. That was the turning point. Perfect Image, you're asking if I read your super chat. Oh, I'm sorry, dude. Why do I keep missing these super chats? I like skipped over 2 super chats. Perfect Image, you're saying I don't believe in that assumption. It's too much zombie games, not enough shooter story games. That's why Fortnite, GTA, Destiny will continue to win. I don't know. I mean, like, I don't think it's one specific genre of game at this point. Perfect Image. I don't. I think it's any genre of game can be turned into a forever live service game, but it's just it's a matter of the timing as well as what it's bringing to the table. There can be multiple games in the same genre for sure, but their ultimate, I think one thing that's been proven, like, and I think we saw this play out with the battle royale genre, is there can be multiple players in the forever game space under the same genre, but space is limited. There can't be like 10. There probably can't even be like 7. Like, there could be maybe like 3 or 4 at most. And I think that applies to almost all genres. So, you know, it's interesting that you look at something like GTA Online. GTA Online stands alone, as far as I'm aware. Like, that is the kind of open world sandbox genre with a level of realism. Like, so, you know, it's not necessarily made for kids. That has not been replicated. And so in a way, GTA kind of stands alone. But, you know, there are still other open world sandbox-esque games that are forever games. I mean, like Roblox is kind of like that, if I'm not mistaken. But I think there's more creativity with Roblox. But yeah, you're not like going to say Roblox and GTA Online are in the same genre. But I think there's still room. I think this, like, dude, I think Sony's going to try to make their own Call of Duty. I mean, I'm not saying there have been Call of Duty competitor attempts. And I don't know, man. There's something about Call of Duty that it's got some kind of magic spell or some shit where, like, I don't know how it hasn't fallen. It still keeps trucking, man, after like so many years. But nothing has matched it. The closest we ever got was Battlefield, maybe with like Battlefield 1. But even then, it couldn't capture the same magic. But I think it is just a matter of time until somebody does create a genuine, real Call of Duty competitor to level the playing field a little bit, because I think there's room for that. I mean, X Defiant just came out, and it is a direct Call of Duty competitor, except it's taking the approach of free to play. Is it going to, you know, do better than Call of Duty? No. But can it carve out its own space? Yes. Because Call of Duty only went free to play with Warzone, not the whole package. Could Sony do that and try to do it even better than X Defiant with their own studio and their own game? Yeah, they could. Could it work? Yeah. So, I don't know, man. I don't know. The future is blurry. The future is blurry. But guys, I think this is where I'm going to bring this stream to an end here. Hold on. What is this? Okay. Yeah, I'm going to bring this stream to an end here. I did want to keep this stream shorter today. I really didn't want it to go too long. No, we're not doing a members launch today. This was just basically a bonus stream. Yeah, I saw that. Antonio, you're saying MBG, check Insider Gaming. They're reporting Doom Dark Ages, a medieval-themed Doom game. Interesting. It'll be really interesting to see if it's actually going to be announced as multiplat or not, but that'll probably be a more exciting announcement that Microsoft brings. But yeah, we'll do a members lounge soon. I did one yesterday. Guys, I also wanted to say, I forgot to mention this. If you try to watch yesterday's members lounge stream, I don't know if it's going to be available for everybody. It says it's partially blocked. This is why I struggle with reacting to different content, because I never know what's going to be blocked. And there was something that I reacted to in yesterday's members lounge that got partially blocked. So if you don't see it, I apologize. Can't do anything about it. But hopefully it's available for most of you to go watch that members lounge. It was a pretty funny one. But guys, that's going to do it. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you to everybody who dropped some membership gifts. Thank you to everybody who dropped some super chats. I couldn't do what I do here without you. And so tomorrow we'll see what happens. I'm not really planning on doing much tomorrow, but I'll be on the lookout, and then we will have our normal Sunday stream and we will take it from there. So that does it. Also want to give a shout out to Devil Shooter. Thank you for doing the timestamps, buddy. If you guys see him in the comments, show him some love. But that does it. I'm out. Enjoy the rest of your day. Until next time, guys. Take care.